Welcome back to This is Van Color. When you watch the news, are you looking to be informed or validated? Because it feels like a lot of the discourse around some of our biggest challenges is centered around protecting our worldview with outrage, rather than getting to the truth. Here to discuss, a familiar face here on CHEK. She just launched her own podcast, Change My Mind. She was the first person to put me on the radio, the legendary Lynda Steele. Lynda, hello.
Hello, I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy to see you. Thank you so much for your time. I got to ask you, we have a plethora of choices when it comes to news media, news content. If you want to confirm your belief that the earth is flat, you can find a lot of stuff on that. But do you think people are actually doing that in terms of confirming their own belief, or are we seeking to know the actual truth on things?
I think the answer is most people are probably seeking the truth, trying to read different sources so that they can understand how world events affect their life. I think that's true of most people, but I think there's a growing wedge of people in Canada and for sure in the United States who are angry right now. They feel unheard. They feel maybe financially strapped, politically polarized. They feel like their guy or gal hasn't been elected in a really long time and they're super mad and think the world would be so much better if my person was in charge. And I think that they're just sort of primed and they're mad and they like to get their sort of rage adrenaline hit by going to social media or going to some news sources, news in air quotes, that do kind of substantiate how they feel because it lifts them up and think, yeah, that's how I feel and I'm mad about it. A lot of people are really trying to juice people these days.
And it does feel even some programming, some talk shows where you have these panels and they're just talking over each other and they're mad and they're not even listening to one another. And I see those programs and I go, what do you get out of it aside from maybe rooting for your guy?
Right. I mean, I do tend to watch some cable news shows.
Sure.
Sometimes it can be entertaining when everybody's shouting at each other and what have you, but largely it's aggravating. And that was the whole premise behind the podcast.
Yeah.
My co-creator, Melanie Nagy, and I said, you know what? People are now just talking past each other, just yelling, not listening. So if we stop listening to each other, especially when the world seems to be kind of exploding and on fire right now, then we're in a really dangerous place.
Yeah.
Because we need to get closer together, not further apart.
Which billionaire can I blame for this? Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, or Jeff Bezos?
Pick a tech bro. I feel like the tech bros really have to own a lot of this because what they're doing is they're manipulating algorithms to essentially direct you somewhere that's just going to infuriate you, and people get a dopamine rush from these sort of rage bait articles that we see on social media. They want you online longer. They want to stir the pot. I read that the number of bots on a platform like X is anywhere in the neighborhood of 50 to 80% of the accounts are actual bots that are designed. You've seen these bot farms where there's just a million, smartphones on a wall, and they're being manipulated largely from places like Russia, Iran, China. And their goal is to divide and to get Canadians, Americans, wherever they're trying to sow dissent, to get us separated. And it's easier for them to accomplish what they want politically, maybe, or to get the person they want elected if we're all enraged and misinformed. And the tech bros do not moderate their platforms very well. So a lot of bad behavior goes unchecked.
And they know that if you engage in a certain type of media, they're just going to give you more of that media as opposed to try to give you any sort of balance on either side.
I've actually done a podcast about, is it time for Lynda to leave Twitter, I still call it, versus X?
It'll always be Twitter.
Because honestly, I've been hacked. Even just today, somebody called me the C word. I'm like, really? It's just become so uncivil.
Yeah.
And I wonder sometimes what I'm getting out of it. But there's still enough sane people who want to learn and want to engage in civil ways that I stay for now.
Yeah.
But I'm getting close to going, bye-bye. I think
So in this world of like outrage and confirmation bias and, general chaos when it comes to information, how do you try to reach people who simply don't want to have their mind change, or they're so firm in their beliefs on things that are important?
Well, it's a problem because I don't know if you've heard of the Edelman Trust Barometer, where they look at public trust in everything from media to politicians and what have you. The trust barometer for 2026 said only 56% of people even trust mainstream media, less than half trust it a lot, and something like 35% can even name someone that they trust who's a journalist, whereas most of the younger people who are consuming information, they believe in the influencers in the big social media accounts. So I am asking people to, first of all, take a deep breath, employ your critical thinking skills. If you see something that immediately enrages you and you think, I can't believe this, stop for 1 second and think, who's saying it? Is it legitimate? Is it substantiated anywhere else by maybe another source that might be, mainstream media, even if you think they're terrible? Most of the stuff that ends up online is in some way or another coming from mainstream journalists.
Yeah.
So I'm just asking people to take a breath, consider whether it's true or not, maybe put down your iPhone, stop going online more often, and try to go to sources you don't normally go.
Yeah.
If you're right-wing, maybe check out the Tyee or the National Observer. If you're left-wing, maybe go to the National Post or check out Fox News. But try to dip your toe in a couple other pools and say, oh, maybe I'm not getting the full story.
Yeah, a diverse media diet. Lynda Steele, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for your time tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Folks, thank you so much for watching, and thank you to Kylie McMullen, Dino Archie, and Mario Canseco, and of course, one of my favorites in the business, Lynda Steele. I'd love to hear your thoughts on tonight's show. Shoot me an email, mo@thisisvancolor.com. Also, despite what you've heard tonight, I'm alive and I'm on the internet. So please follow me @VanColor. Until next week, stay colorful. Peace.